Well, hey guys, welcome back to the channel. JD here. Today we're going to do a comparison between a few kayak crate options. Pretty much my evolution from when I started kayak fishing to where I'm at now. I'll show you my first ever DIY kayak crate, then the Flambeau Tuff Krate that I used for a long time, and now the BlackPak Pro with the ShortStak from YakAttack. So let's dive into it and start with the pros and cons and what I liked about the DIY crate model. Right, guys, here on Legacy Outdoors, we focus on a lot of outdoor activities and gear reviews and stuff like that, but we also want to focus on God's Word and how it teaches us to live. So just like these crates that we're going to go over here in a few minutes give us a place to store our tackle and gear while out fishing, during Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, he tells us where our focus should be and where we should store our treasure up. So in Matthew chapter 6, verse 19 through 21, Jesus said, "Don't store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moss and rust can destroy and thieves can break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where neither moth nor rust destroy and where thieves don't break in. For where your treasure is, your heart will be also." So what exactly does it mean to store your treasure in heaven? Jesus is telling us that we should focus and use all that we have to glorify God. So many people in today's society define wealth by the amount of stuff they have or maybe the amount of money that's in their bank account. Status is often determined by the type of car you drive or maybe the house you live in. But this type of wealth not only enslaves our heart, but it also enslaves our mind. If our goal in life is to get material gain, it will ultimately mean darkness within. But if our goal is to serve and glorify God, there will be light within. So like these verses suggest, I want to encourage you to prioritize spiritual and eternal values over material possessions. By investing in acts of kindness, generosity, and righteousness, which align with God's will and has lasting rewards. What will your legacy be? All right, so up first is the DIY crate. This is my first ever DIY crate. I got the crate from Lowe's, and I got a couple pieces of PVC pipe for some homemade rod tubes. I ended up spray painting the tubes orange and the crate blue. I'm a big Auburn fan, so War Eagle, so that's why I did that. This crate was good. When I first got started, I was in a 10-foot Pelican, so I would just put this back, put the bungee cords over it, and take a couple rods with me. As far as storage, I mean, it's open storage. As far as the Plano boxes, it holds, I think, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a little bit of wiggle room, so maybe if you had a couple different size boxes instead of these waterproof ones, you might could fit 7 in there. There's a little room for something on top if you wanted. And then on this side over here, I mounted just a little knife and some pair of pliers to the side. That was my first ever crate that I ever did. Shortly after, when I upgraded my kayak, I upgraded the crate too, I guess. I ended up going with a 3-pole holder. And yeah, it's pretty much the same as everything else. This crate worked good for a long time. It's easy. I could just take it out, put it in the truck. The only problem is when something got wet, if it rained, everything got wet. So that's something to think about, but it's super cheap option for storage in the back of the kayak crate. All right, so next up is going to be the Flambeau Tuff Krate. The reason I went with this one was because it had this second tier of storage. If you remember or been around kayak fishing for a long time, the YakAttack BlackPak, the original, only had a bottom box. There wasn't a top lid for storage like they've done now with the ShortStak. So that really drew me. I like having my tackle below and then different stuff above. So up in the top, what I ended up putting, that's where I like my sunscreen, my first aid kit, a few soft plastics, some tools, and that type stuff went in there. Stuff that I got to quite often, but I didn't want to have to move off my tackle when I needed it. And then down below is where I kept all my tackle. I had it set up like this. I had the 4 Plano boxes here. I had this Plano soft pouch there, where that's where my soft plastics and trailers and stuff would be. And then I'd have a couple more boxes down here of like some different stuff that I didn't use all the time. And then on here, I could put some water. I'd put my pants in there and that type stuff. Again, I did put this string here because if not, the lid would just flip all the way over. So when you're on the kayak, you didn't want everything falling out or have a chance to fall out. So that's why I did that. This crate does come with a couple rod holders that come with it that you have to install on the side. They're kind of small. I never use them, but there's holes on the side that you could do. But again, I was using this on the Bonafide SS127, and when I put these on the side, one, they're closed at the bottom, so the rod would stick out a lot. And then in the Bonafide SS127, it has 2 nice rails on the side. So I had mounted some YakAttack rod holders along the side. So that's what I ended up using. I attached it down on the side right through this little strap right here with a YakAttack little mount, and then like a Velcro strap just to strap it down. I like this crate. It stored a good bit. One thing I didn't like about it, it's still got the holes in there, so nothing's ever waterproof, I guess, but it's a little less water resistant. So if it rained, water would drip down through, and it's not customizable outside of putting the rod holders on. And like I said, it only came with 2. They're kind of small, so I don't really know what type of rod these were actually made for when they envisioned putting the rod holders on there. But you can buy extra of these if you're interested. You can put 2 on each side. All right, and last but not least is what I'm currently running in my native Propel Slayer Max. It's the 13x16 YakAttack BlackPak Pro with the ShortStak. I didn't know if I'd like this crate. It was pretty expensive compared to the Flambeau and of course the DIY model, but I've had it for a couple months now and I'm actually loving it. The customizability of it, if that's even a word, the ability to customize and just make it into what you want is awesome. So kind of like the Flambeau Tuff Krate, it has the top. It's a little bit taller than the Flambeau Tuff Krate, but obviously that's not a big deal when you're on a kayak. And this fits fine in the tank well of all the yaks that I have. In the top, it's got 2 clips. It's kind of the same stuff that's in the other one. Just sunscreen, first aid kit, sunglasses, a scale, some extra tools, rag, that type stuff. And then inside is kind of the same setup as the other one. The only difference is there's a lot more room in here, over here. So it's a little bit bigger than the Flambeau Tuff Krate. So I'll throw my water, my pants and stuff in there. With this one, it came with 4 rod tethers on the back. So I mounted them in parallel. They have the little tethers on there. And yeah, they work great. You got the handle, you got a couple other accessories that you can do. I did, on this one, I had some YakAttack TracPaks. I had the 2 packs, so I ordered an extra base and I mounted them on the side. This is where I keep all my soft plastics. I have like some swim baits, and then I have like worms and bandito bug and that type of stuff in that one. I used to use all my soft plastics in those KVD soft packs, the Plano soft bags, and I would just put them right here in front of this crate when it was in my tank well, so I would just reach over. But this one, everything's off the ground, so if water gets in the back tank well, nothing's getting wet. You can just reach around, it pops off, pop back on. It's perfect. There's all types of different stuff. I mean, there's all these holes on here where you can screw in, put different accessories if you want to put GoPro mounts, whatever. Yeah, it's pretty much endless. I'm sure over time I'll probably do some more modifications to it, but right now, like, this setup's working good. I did put the handle on. It does come with the 4 corner pieces where you can strap it down. I didn't put those on. I went with just the handle because it's got this little groove right here for the Omni hook, but I don't use the Omni hooks. I got the just the YakAttack cam straps, and the 3-foot goes around and straps to the YakAttack mount for on the rail. And yeah, guys, I'm loving it. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and kind of my comparison and my pros and cons of these 3 different options for kayak crates, kind of my evolution from the DIY models to the YakAttack BlackPak Pro with the ShortStak. If you have any questions about anything, throw it down below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Hit me with a like, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get a couple videos out a month. Every other Thursday is my upload goal. This one's going to be a couple days late because we were at the beach and I didn't have a chance to get it done before I left. So yeah, so God bless you. Hopefully this video helps. And if you're thinking about upgrading or just getting into kayak fishing, these are a few options that you got. So take it easy, tight lines, and we'll catch you next time.